Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Finally, senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. Thumbs up for that. They're mowing outside, but I have the urge to record, so I need to get it done. Plus, in the background here is Vice City, Rocky City, an extraction shooter that was a commercial and critical failure, but is fun. As Oboe Shoes, a guy who does a lot of streaming of bad games, pointed out, Destiny the game looks fun, but is not fun to play. Rocky City does not look fun to play, but it's a blast. I'm enjoying it, and I don't like extraction shooters, but it's fun, so thumbs up on that. Plus, there's a lot of fans on in my room here right now because it's a warm day. We're going to be in the 80s today, so joy on that. But I do have stuff written on my list because ADHD brain. I'm going to start off at the top. I have discovered that green tea makes my back hurt less. And I do not understand this at all. Because I started drinking green tea so I could get better type of caffeine. The caffeine in green tea is ameliorated by another substance in it that makes it a little better for you. But of course, with my ADHD, I was drinking it so that I could sleep. And then I was not just sleeping because, hey, caffeine makes me sleepy, good old ADHD, but my back hurt barely at all when I woke up. I slept, and I didn't hurt. And each day when I've done that has been true. And then last night, I was experimenting. I had some green tea early. And before I even went to bed, my back started hurting less. It's not hydration, because I drink a lot of fluids anyway. This was just green tea and hokey smoke. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. But yeah, that was nice. And yesterday I talked a little bit about my thalassophobia. I don't think I talked about how it really affects me in games. Because 10 years and some, while playing the game Block Story, would go underwater and do stuff. But I started feeling it more and more with games like Subnautica and such like that. Subnautica wasn't too bad. In fact, in the not very deep water, that's fine, that game. Until it gets deeper. Games like, Subnautica are tough. I was on playing the game No Man's Sky. I think I might have even recorded this part of it, where I wanted to go into the water to find some stuff. I jumped in, and there's a lot of stuff happening underwater, and it's pretty deep, and that visceral horror, I couldn't even do it in game. Oh my god. I can do it in shallower game waters, but deep game waters, it's weird. In real life, I have, of course, that monkey fear of great heights. But it's not terrible. I can do things closer to edges than a lot of other people can, and that's good. But in video games, heights terrify me. So, why that distinction for video game versus life? Don't know, but it's there. Thumbs up for that. And as I scroll my text file down, my weight has dropped further. Finally, at last, after a full week of discovering just how little I can eat and maintain, because 800 calories, like a third of what a man is supposed to eat, I maintain. So, I cut my intake down further. Half a can of chili at night, and half the yogurt that I was eating before. Finally, down to 206 this morning. I have already dropped down a pants size, and the ones that I'm wearing are starting to get pretty loose. So if I keep this up, I'll have to drop down to 36 pants pretty soon. Good on that. Had to drop down an underwear size. I'm wearing my new smaller underwear today. Yay! It is good to be able to do that. And on an irritation front, I used to be a tighty-whities guy. Unfortunately, when my wife was alive, I did a lot of sitting because I was afraid to go anywhere. And so I sat like 90% of my day watching her. And I developed on the back of my right thigh, up near the top of my thigh, a pressure sore. On top of where, when I was a drunkard, I had fallen on broken glass, cut myself, and had stitches. Scar tissue is compromised tissue. So that broke down into pressure sore from my sitting. It has stayed compromised. And if I wear tighty-whitey underwear, there's that crease between buttock and thigh where the band of your underwear goes, which is right close to the compromised area on the upper part of my thigh. So if I wear the kind of underwear I used to, that breaks down and bleeds and is awful because it breaks down and becomes a pressure sore just from wearing that kind of underwear. So for the past couple years here, since moving into here, which is like, I think just 2 years now, I've had to wear boxers. And boxers are pretty awful. I wear the boxer briefs, so they're not the loose, floppy kind of boxers. Those suck. So they're more gripping than a regular boxer, but not as damaging to my broke down areas as regular briefs. So they work, and that's good. Yay! And I was also working on, I've mentioned before, on my solo and RPG stuff, the setting that I've got. It's on the continent of Karthkog, where there are the 3 people, the Apani, the Habani, and the Orkani. And then from another continent, there are the Goya, which are basically humans. And everybody descends from the the other race that's on a different continent of Lanlua, the Dwaylan. If there had not been this horrific thing that happened 5 million years ago that caused intense speciation of the surviving megafauna. Megafauna is like us. We're megafauna. Anything above like 40 kilograms, 2.2 times that, and we're megafauna. We fit into that category. So anything, we're megafauna. Just have to take me on that. Then the surviving megafauna speciated out into the various races of human and the Hulat, the types of the Apani, Habani, and Orkani. And there has been the immigration over to the new continent from various peoples, and it is on this continent that I have been putting the solo RPG setting down in the settlement of Nogrod in the middle of the Ogranic Forest, which is kind of like the multiverse written small, but the entirety of the continent of Karthkog is like a vast cosmic horror event. So, boy, it's getting louder and louder out there, and now it's quieter. But I've been working the various characters of Kanar, a Goya, and of Dantil, a Habani, Jekan, an Alpani, and Faithad, an Orkani. Now I am working finally on getting in the next fellow, person. Just happens to be maybe a fellow, maybe not. Melianthalor. Because the Dwaylan have names that are, and place names more like that. They too are from the city-state of Thalanae on Lanlua. but that's millionth and they go by Enthal for short. And so I'm working on them as a character, and then soon one of the dwarven types that are not really dwarves, and in fact the only ones that are playable are the ones that are, they all live above ground, chased up to the surface. And it was a vast extinction event, basically, when they came from underground to overground. A good 90% of their species died off trying to make it to the surface and survive. Because once they got here, well, they came out in groups of like 40,000. And they didn't know where to find water. They didn't know what the sun was. They didn't know what food was. Well, where to get it on the surface. And so they began to die in their tens of thousands. The ones that survived making it to the surface in the first place. Because after all, when they came up from down below, well, 70% of the planet is covered in water. There went 70% of the species gone instantly when all the water from oceans and stuff went down into where they lived. Oops. But there was no option. So now everyone lives on the surface, and except for adventurer type dwarves, player characters, they refuse to go back under. And there's good reasons. Have to talk about that later. Past that, I've not really done a whole lot. I mean, I have done stuff. I played games. I continue to go out and do walkies. I talk to people here. I do stuff online. I'm still always working and trying to read and play on my physical games as well as the computerized type. So that's a good thing. When I say I haven't done a lot, I mean I haven't done a lot physically. Like, I haven't gone out and conquered the world or anything like that. I just have a tiny little life. And I'm very glad that however many of you out there do watch to hear. Because I know I'm nothing special. And my channel continues to shrink and shrivel because of my inability to change with the times. Plus, what goes on the new meta for YouTube, a lot of it is just I don't have any interest in doing. I don't want to make a YouTube AI slop channel or turn this into an AI slop channel. So there I'm at a big disadvantage. I don't have a team or writers or editors. It's all just me. That's a disadvantage. And I'm just a neurodivergent old guy. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I think I'm interesting, at least in my own ways. So I do appreciate when people do watch. It is nice to be heard. But call to action time. If you could like, comment, share, subscribe, that would be very cool. Greatly appreciated. If you're a Patreon patron, you're a beautiful and awesome person. Thumbs up, thank you. Your help is appreciated. I am losing weight, but you help me buy the food that I need to eat to stay alive while I'm trying to lose weight, and that is appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you. You are beautiful and awesome people. If you leave me a comment, you too are beautiful and awesome in your own way. Bonk up against my microphone. I read and appreciate every comment that is left for me. I answer as many as my nerve compression and such will let me, which isn't as many as I would like, but I do try. Plus, that lets you know that you are being heard, so I do my best to do that. And of course, I play an internet game of giving out a writing prompt or giving out a word and then asking that to be typed into the comment section for blatant engagement farming, and also to let me know I'm being heard, because it is cool. The last people that played were Jesse Koskinen, thumbs up and thank you. Chris, greatly appreciated, and I am on the net. Thumbs up and thank you, all three of you. It is appreciated, which I really wish I knew how to bring my numbers up in a way that I could do, because executive dysfunction is also a big part of that. Yay. But still, if you have watched this far, you know I was going to talk about all the things I have in here because it's really real bonk. Ugh, ugh, I'm pushing my face over. No, it's a really good resource for a lot of stuff, but I'll have to talk about all this later. If you have watched this far, if you could type into the comments fantasy, it's not going to focus on that. Thumbs up. But if you could type that into the comments, that would be very, very cool and greatly appreciated. Do you have to? No. That would be very cool. If you don't want to type that in and would rather write a sentence from a writing prompt sort of thing, what sort of creature do you think that skull came from? Because it doesn't exactly look human, though humanoid. So thumbs up if you play, and if you don't have to. And if you've watched this far, no matter what, thank you. And if you haven't watched this far, but yeah, the stuff in that notebook as well as all my other stuff, I'd love to spend like hours and hours and hours just fixating on. Thumbs up. So anyway, though, I'm going to take care of myself, edit, render, upload, try and do the things that I got to do. I've been over to the community center, talked to one of the case managers. Mine has been like out for a better part of 2 weeks, so thumbs up. But still, I'm going to do the best that I can, and hopefully you can get done the things that you would like to get done, because that would be cool. But please do not beat yourself up if you cannot. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very, very good thing.